In this video, I'm going to unbox this Panasonic JZ2000 4K flagship OLED TV and go through the picture settings in the user menu. It is a crying shame that this TV is not available to buy in the USA, because otherwise owners who have received their television in the States could have said, "Jay-Z's in the house." So we get a remote control, which is slightly different from Panasonic's previous premium remote. And you can see here that this is the pedestal stand, which has a sort of a circular base, and I believe that it can be swivel as well. I can't manage to do it right now, but I'm sure I'll try later on. Now, new for 2021, I believe that after inspecting this box, Panasonic has designed it to be used only once. So there are perforations down the back of the box, and you're meant to tear it open and then take this down and then take the TV up and install it on the pedestal stand. And this apparently makes it easier for owners to recycle the box. I think maybe the company has received some complaints about their previous boxes with plastic clips and stuff, but this does mean that this box is basically disposable, and it can only be used once, just like any good just like any good tissue. So I'm going to try and do it my usual way. That is because I need to actually return the sample. I can't actually keep it, so I need to rebox it. So I'm going to try and see if I can use my previous method of laying the TV down before actually assembling the stand, because I really don't want to destroy the box unnecessarily if possible. Okay, so the first thing to do is to just try and put the styrofoams back into place. Before I forget, the manual and also the screws are at the bottom of the box. Alright, let's put it on the table and we'll go through the picture settings. This coverage is sponsored by Richard Sounds Manchester. Call 0333 900 0086 for the best prices and expert advice for TVs, AV and Hi-Fi. So I've put the Panasonic JZ2000 on a table and I'm going to go through the setup process. I'm going to select United Kingdom, where I'm based, select Home, And I'm going to try and skip connecting to the internet because let's face it, I'm trying to finish everything under 2 minutes. And I'll set this later, and I'll skip auto-tuning free view as well. And this is just a warning message to say that your TV is an OLED and you need to basically put it into standby to let the compensation cycles run. So I'll confirm, and I'll set the space tune later, but you ideally should do it at home if you are using the onboard speakers. And hopefully this will finish the setup process, and then we can go through the picture settings. Okay, and I'm gonna just select an HDMI input, even though it is going to be blank. I'm just going to go to HDMI 1, and if I press the menu button on the remote control, this will bring up a new for 2021 taskbar at the bottom. This is probably similar to the quick settings menu on Sony TVs and maybe other televisions as well, but this is new, and this allows you to access various settings very quickly. And I suppose you can actually edit what you want to actually put on the taskbar as well. So this is fairly novel, but let's get into the picture menu, and I'll go through the picture settings and try and explain all of them if possible. Now, there are various picture presets on this TV, and the default is going to be normal. This is usually quite inaccurate. It is going to have a bluer color temperature, and dynamic is going to be the short mode. And you can see that because of EU energy regulation, there is the warning message, but hopefully it will only turn up once, rather than multiple times, as is the case on Sony television. So this is probably Panasonic's AI picture preset, and then dynamic is going to be the short mode, and then normal is the default out-of-the-box picture preset. Professional photo if you're actually doing some retouching on your Panasonic OLED. Cinema, filmmaker, true cinema, these are going to be fairly accurate, but for professional calibration, I will normally be using Professional 1 or Professional 2. Professional 1 for day mode and Professional 2 for night mode. Now, I think, sports mode is generally too garish, so I generally don't advise people using it. And with game mode, you should get the lowest input lag, but I think on Panasonic TVs, you can actually engage game mode or ALLM or auto low latency mode within an accurate picture preset. So I don't think there is any need to use the game mode. And I think that, with the game mode on the Panasonic TV, if you select the picture preset, I think, there are certain settings that are actually grayed out and stuff. So I think, I'll experiment with all of this, and then I'll try to explain to you what's the best thing to do, but I hope that ALLM will take care of things. And if I can go back up to select Professional 2 mode, now this is going to be the most accurate picture preset for nighttime viewing, and this is going to be targeting 100 nits for SDR reference viewing. Now, luminance level is similar to OLED light on LG OLED TVs. This will control the amount of light that is being pumped out by this OLED, and if you go higher, the picture will go brighter, and if you go lower, the picture will go darker. And I think the default is 30, so let's set it back to 30. Contrast will decide the digital white level. Brightness will affect the video black level. If you go too high, you may be elevating black level unnecessarily without any increase in shadow detail, but if you go too low, then you may be crushing shadow detail. And then color will affect all the colors by increasing the saturation and luminance if you increase it, and if you decrease it, you will be desaturating the colors, every single color on screen. Tint will rotate all the hues, and then sharpness will apply some edge enhancement. Color temperature, warm 2 is generally the most accurate to the D65 white point, and I think some people think that this is too yellow, but this is indeed the standard that is used within the film and broadcast industry. If you go up, it will become cooler. You can probably see the menu becoming cooler as well. Cooler means bluer, and it is not accurate. The most accurate is going to be warm 2. And color remaster, this is probably to make colors more saturated than they should be. It will provide a pleasing effect, but again, we are concerned about accuracy here, so I would generally turn this off. Ambient sensor will maybe be useful in the Dolby Vision IQ mode, but we'll turn it off because we don't want the TV messing about with the settings without your knowledge. And then with Auto AI, because I haven't actually fed any video signal source to this TV, presumably this is why it is grayed out. But if it is working, then I would expect this to, toggle the intensity of the AI picture processing that Panasonic has designed on this JZ2000 OLED and maybe the company's other 2021 TVs as well. Noise reduction will apply noise reduction, and it generally will reduce fine detail, so I would keep it off for pristine content. MPEG Remaster will try and perform a spatial filter to reduce mosquito noise and other MPEG compression artifacts, but again, it will reduce fine detail. I'll keep it off for pristine, high quality content. Resolution Remaster, more edge enhancement. Dynamic Range Remaster, applying an S-shaped gamma. And then Intelligent Frame Creation is Panasonic's motion compensated frame interpolation system, and you get a few levels of minimum, mid, and max. And then you can also go into custom, which will allow you to adjust the blur reduction, which is for high frame rate content. So let's say 50p or 60p content, if you increase blur reduction, then you may increase the motion resolution and motion clarity. And if we go back, film smooth will be similar to, say, the Jada reduction on Samsung TVs or the Jada on LG OLEDs, and this will apply motion compensated frame interpolation or smoothing to low frame rate content. By low frame rate content, I mean 24p, 25p, and also 30p. And if you increase it, you will definitely increase the amount of soap opera effect that you see. And some people may be sensitive to the inherent stutter that is present within 24p content, and they may want to experiment with film smooth to try and provide a smoother picture without venturing into the territory of soap opera effect. But we will experiment with this once we test this TV thoroughly. I mean, I've just basically unboxed this TV. And black frame insertion, as its name says, will apply black frame insertion. And I think since last year, Panasonic has implemented variable intensity black frame insertion, so you can actually decide the interval at which the black frames are inserted, ranging from mid, min, max. And the higher you go, then the darker the picture will be. And also you may be introducing a bit more flicker as well. And with the auto option, the TV will be deciding how much black frames are inserted in terms of the duty cycle. But again, because I don't know what it's going to be doing, across all types of content, so generally I would either select one of these static options or just turn it off altogether if you are not using it for watching sports. After that, we go into advanced settings, and this will give us various calibration controls. So color gamut, Rec 709 is accurate for SDR HDTV content, and then with Rec 1020 it is accurate for UHD TV content, and you get various other options in between as well. And with white balance, this will allow us to calibrate the grayscale, and there are 6 controls here. This is the 2-point white balance controls. R gain stands for red gain, green gain, blue gain, red cutoff, green cutoff, and blue cutoff. The gain controls affect the brighter portion of the grayscale. The cutoffs affect the darker portion of the grayscale, and generally on OLED TVs, we try to avoid using the cutoff controls because they may cause blacks to float or cause some color tinting in the darker regions. So we generally only adjust the gain controls, and then you obviously get more detailed adjustment. And I think Panasonic, I really like their 14-point, is it, white balance controls, because it allows us to really fine-tune the near blacks, how the picture actually comes out from black. It goes down to even 0.5% IRE. Now IRE, in my opinion, is antiquated. It is outdated because it stands for Institute of Radio Engineers, and it is strictly only applicable to an analog signal, and we're all in a digital domain now, so it should be a video stimulus percentage. But I think let's move on, and I think 0.5%, 1.3%, it's going to be more precise than what many other TV manufacturers allow, and then you go up to 2.5, 5, and then at 10% video stimulus intervals all the way up to 100%. And if I get back, I think these are manual calibration controls, but I believe that this Panasonic GZ2000 is also compatible with Calman AutoCal, and that generally is much easier without having to venture into the user menu and cause these adjustment screens to pop up and interfere with your reading from your meter. So I would just use direct display control through Calman, or just perform AutoCal on any Panasonic OLED over the past few years. And then with the color management system, this is a tri-axis color management system, which is HSL based. HSL means that it is based on the hue, the saturation, and luminance. So you can adjust the three primary colors of red, green, and blue. And then for each color, you can adjust three parameters: hue, saturation, and luminance. And under more detailed adjustments, you can adjust the three secondary colors of cyan, magenta, and yellow. And again, I stress that I normally use direct display control through Calman to calibrate this, because it is just much easier to make all these changes from the laptop. And then with Gamma, this will determine how the input video signal is translated to the picture on screen, particularly in terms of the midtones. Now, BT1886 is the correct gamma or transfer function for SDR content since 2011 now. And if you want to watch TV in a bright room and you prefer a brighter midtones, you should go for a 2.2 gamma. But otherwise, I think BT1886 should be the correct option for nighttime viewing SDR. And more detailed adjustments again will let you adjust the luminance at each 10% interval until near black, where you can get really granular control to try and fine-tune how the TV comes out from black. And if I can get back, and because we are not feeding an HDR signal to this TV at the moment, so dynamic HDR effect is off. Maybe this is similar to dynamic tone mapping, I think. And then HDR tone map, this will apply a hard clip if you so wish, for various mastering or HGIG purposes. Again, this is something that I need to test. And then if I go into the option settings, game mode, you can turn it on or off, but as I mentioned earlier, ALRM can be engaged, and normally what this will do is that the TV will automatically go into game mode upon playback of a game or upon starting a console, so you get accurate colors and also low input lag at the same time. And then VRR, you can turn it on or off as well. I just realized that this is the first Panasonic TV I've seen with VRR support, and I'm going to be quite interested to see how it fares really. I mean, even Sony TVs don't have VRR support yet. And with film cadence mode, this will apply film mode deinterlacing. 1080p pure direct, this will reproduce full 444 chroma, and then 4K pure direct will be doing so for 4K video signal. And then there are many options here for the common consumer, and let's go through it very quickly. EOTF will let you select the transfer function, and you can force a PQ curve, which forces an HDR picture regardless of the input video signal. And then HLG is for hybrid log gamma. Traditional gamma would be for SDR, BT8086 by default. And then with colorimetry, you can again select Rec 601 for standard definition content, Rec 709 for high definition content, and Rec 2020 for ultra high definition content. But again, auto is going to be the best option. And RGB range, this will let you choose whether to limit the TV to legal range 16:235 or to the full range, which is 0 to 255, or what we call the PC range, and auto again is going to be the best. And YCBCR range, this also will let you choose whether to set the TV to video range or PC range. And then if we can get out from here, screen settings, aspect will let you set the aspect ratio, and then overscan will turn overscan on or off. And then with screen display, you can choose to turn off the screen, let's say when you're listening to music or something. And then pixel orbiter is one of the many anti-screen burn measure implemented on this Panasonic GZ2000, and this will be similar to the pixel shift function on LG OLEDs and also Sony OLEDs. This will slowly move the picture on screen by a few pixels here and there. And then logo luminance control will basically detect any static elements on screen and try to dim it down to reduce the risk of image retention and also permanent burn-in. And you get min, mid, and max. And I think, unfortunately, you can't actually switch it off, whereas I think on LG OLEDs, you can switch it off completely. But at least this is still better than Sony OLED TVs, which don't even give you this sort of control. But I'll be testing all this, when I review this television. Panel maintenance, if you click this will start a major compensation cycle. And I don't think there is any need unless, your TV suffers from really bad bending near black and you want to just clear the screen and see whether it is a keeper or not. So you can try to use this, but I strongly advise against using this every single day or even regularly, because again, when I have time and if I clear my ever increasing backlog of videos, I may explain what is the difference between the minor compensation cycles that happens in standby and also this major compensation cycle that on OLED TVs generally happens after 2000 hours. Panel maintenance message, okay, and then picture button settings, lock settings. You can lock the settings if you have other family members who may mess up your perfectly calibrated TV. And copy adjustment, this is something I really like on Panasonic TVs. This allows me to really fine-tune the settings on a particular input and then copy to not only all inputs but any specific input that I want. Really fantastic function. And if I can get out from here and go into the setup menu, and there are a few things I want to actually talk about. I think if we go into HDMI auto setting, new for 2021, there is a mode 3 now. I think previously there is only mode 1 or mode 2. And the reason why there is mode 3 is because this is the first TV from Panasonic that I've tested or I've seen or I've received with HDMI 2.1. So mode 3 will presumably unlock the FRL signaling or fixed rate link signaling for HDMI 2.1. And by having two HDMI 2.1 ports, I think this is a telltale sign that this TV is using a MediaTek SoC. And then with HDMI 3 and HDMI 4, you only get two modes. Usually mode 1 would be HDMI 1.4, and then mode 2 will be HDMI 2.0, and then mode 3 will be HDMI 2.1. And if we get out from here, HDMI HDR setting, you can choose not to use any dynamic metadata, but I don't know why you would do that. So if you want to turn it to static, you won't be using dynamic metadata, or you can turn off HDR altogether. I think I'll have to test this. And then with the HDR dynamic setting, let's set this to dynamic, and then we'll see. So you can choose whether to enable HDR10 Plus functionality. I mean, Panasonic alongside TP Vision Philips are the two key manufacturers I know, maybe TCL as well, that support all the key HDR formats, including HDR10, HLG, HDR10 Plus, and Dolby Vision. And when it comes to Dolby Vision, there are two modes here, and I want to tell you what is going on here, because I don't think I've explained this, or maybe I have, but my memory is like goldfish these days. But mode 1 means that you're asking the TV to perform TV-like Dolby Vision. Mode 2, you're asking the TV to perform player-like Dolby Vision. So TV-like Dolby Vision is generally better. But on last year's, say, HZ2000, I think I saw some frame skipping in a few films with TV-like Dolby Vision, which can only be eradicated by engaging mode 2, which means that you're asking the source device to do the Dolby Vision processing. So I'll be interested to see whether this is a problem that is still present on this JZ2000. But just so you know, mode 1 would be TV-like Dolby Vision, mode 2 will be player-like Dolby Vision, and off is turning off Dolby Vision altogether. And I think that concludes my walkthrough, very long walkthrough of the picture settings on this Panasonic JZ2000 4K OLED TV. Now I will be running in this TV, and I generally like to put at least 100 hours on any OLED TV to let the organic material stabilize before I start calibrating and also start testing it. So it may be some time before the review is online. But if you have any questions about this TV, or if you have anything in particular that you would like us to test, feel free to leave a comment in the YouTube section below. Oh, before I forget, let me just go through the system information and show you what's happening here. So status 4, if I can point to status 4, if you look at status 4, that would indicate the number of hours this TV has been in operation. And status 8 would be indicating the number of compensation cycles, be it minor compensation cycle, major compensation cycle, or compensation cycles that has been terminated halfway, not completed. They will all be listed on status 8. If you'd like to watch some of our other videos on 2021 OLED TVs, I've created a playlist here if you'd like to click on it, and I'll see you in the next video.